Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Evening, friends. Welcome to another episode of Mavs Party. The Dallas Mavericks are now 3 games above 500 after they held on, after they played a rather horrifying third and fourth quarter against the New Orleans Pelicans, but they won 111-106. I just finished recording an epic podcast with my buddy Josh Bowe, and I say that because I am normally the pissy one. He was filled with frustration, and I really recommend you go check out that show. It should be posted by the time you get done listening to us drivel on in here. The Mavericks obviously won 111-106. They got some lucky breaks down the stretch in the form of some really horrendous refereeing, some missed clock mismanagement. Don't think it would have made a difference. Pelicans just didn't. They needed to score almost every possession in the final 4 minutes, and they couldn't do it. The Dallas Mavericks were rescued in the fourth quarter by Josh Green, who made the most of limited opportunities, scoring 7 of the Mavericks' 16 fourth-quarter points. Why did they score 16 fourth-quarter points? Well, in large part because everyone on the team forgot how to play offense. There were some of the worst possessions I've seen all year, followed up by a lack of shot making. Sometimes the shots don't go down. And with Luka going down to injury, this was sort of another reminder of, it cannot only be Spencer Dinwiddie and Josh Green as guys who can dribble. It just can't be. It's not fair to the rest of the team. They need to have some other things going on. It's not fair to those two. So let's come up and, we'll see what you guys think of this game. I am surprised. I think the Mavericks are sort of just, I feel like they're in a rodeo and they're holding on to the bowl as tight as they can, and they could get bucked off at any moment. Oh yeah. Jeremy in the chat says, what about Tim Hardaway? I mean, Spencer and Tim Hardaway were a remarkable 7 of 37 from the floor. I wasn't even angry. I was impressed. That's hard. Anyhow. All right, let's go to the floor. We'll see who wants to talk and hang out for a few minutes, and maybe we'll get out of Dodge. Hey, my man Brandon, haven't seen you in here in a few nights. How you doing?
Long time no talk, Kirk. How you been doing, man?
Welcome back.
Yeah, the workflow, you know how that goes.
Sometimes
it's unwanted, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just feel like it's one of those things where hopefully the Mavs can catch a lot of breaks. A lot of these teams hopefully break up their chemistry, and trying to, swing for the fences and trade players is really important. And Dallas may get some lucky breaks about that and unfortunately, sometimes a lot of teams, they like New Orleans, they, get bit by the injury bug and, they go through 9 to 10 game losing streaks. So, I mean, that's reality of basketball, of sports in general. So hopefully, the Mavs can get a couple of wins off of that. But I mean, I think, with the amount of games that they played this year, there's no reason to expect anything different than what we're seeing right now, trade or not, because they're pretty much who they are. Like you said,
I think that's
right.
Yeah. I'm watching this. Could you hit mute? Sorry, I'm getting feedback.
Yes, sorry.
I'm watching this Luka injury, and I cannot believe he didn't hurt something worse. Anyhow, I tend to agree that some mixing up of the ingredients could help this team. Does it help them substantially? No. Does it raise the bar a lot? No. But if the West is going to continue to be this sort of Seinfeldian slap fight, I don't really know if that might be enough. A nudge in the right direction. Like, I desperately want to play the Clippers in the playoffs as of today because I saw Dylan Brooks punch Donovan Mitchell in the balls. And I really want to play. I in a 7-game series, I take the Mavs because I feel pretty confident against most teams. But night in, night out, I don't feel confident about the team. Is that bizarre?
No, it's not. And I think that, to me, Dallas has a puncher's chance of beating any team, but that's about it. If you go through process of elimination of who they can beat, it's very iffy. Like you said before, Golden State, Dallas pretty much has their numbers. Back in the day, I don't think Dallas would kind of run the floor with Golden State. But, I mean, you just go through the top, I guess, 10 or 11 teams, and you're like, well, Dallas may beat the upper echelon or, but the middle teams and the Clippers and stuff, it's kind of like, But catch them at the right time, I think Dallas could really do some things, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's sustainable. So they're going to need a lot of help from a lot of different factors. But I think they do have a puncher's chance. And that's kind of what, Toronto had a puncher's chance. Like I said, the championship with Kobe had a puncher's chance. Wins like that were just kind of grit and, fans and hard work. But Dallas doesn't have much besides just, a chance.
I do. The margin for error is non-existent. And yes, I did mean the Grizzlies earlier, not the Clippers. I apologize for that. Somebody in the chat, Ethan, just noted that if Luka misses a significant stretch of time, this season is over. And Adam in the chat says, here comes the 5-game losing streak, because the Mavericks are bad on the road. And this season just feels like it's on the edge of a knife, which is why, as much as these past 2 wins have pissed me off, it would be so much worse if they had gone even 500. Because there's just elements where you look, if they had lost against Phoenix, if they had lost against, 1 game back moves them so far down the win-loss column in the rage out west, in this kind of whatever's going on out west. And as much as my natural tendency in the big picture is to be negative, because that's just sort of how I am, I can't help but think that it's if they just make it to the playoffs, they should be okay. I think I'm going to feel bullish once they get there.
I kind of think that they know that they can't control their own fate, because if you look, was it a week and a half ago they were down to the 12th spot, and now they're just back up towards the 4th spot. So, they're just kind of hey. But I think right now, if Luka is out a significant amount of time, or just in general, I think right now is pretty much where they need to weed out everybody except for Luka. Kind of like you said before, even about Dorian, the minutes that they put on him. When you look at their numbers over the amount of time that they've been there, and that's everybody, nothing is, they're improving, but it's not a significant improvement to you. Outside of Spencer, there's not a significant improvement where you could say, hey, maybe we need to, keep these guys around. Because I was watching something, they were talking about the Hawks and even bringing up Trae Young. And that made me think about, Dallas, who's not tradable and, who's really just an asset that we really need that's going to push us to the next level.
I don't have a good answer for that one because there's all sorts of variance with what people think. I get messages frequently. I sort of had to turn off Twitter today because I was very like the Christian Wood discourse makes me very frustrated because I like Christian Wood and I want to like Christian Wood even more. But our guy Matthew Phillips at Mavs Moneyball said if Christian Wood was the third or fourth best player, I would feel so much better about what he could do for this team. But instead, they have him in the role as realistically being the second leading scorer for the team. And they have a bunch of pieces, and it's if they can manage to move some stuff around, I'll feel better. But I also understand if they can't. They got into this mess a while ago. And I've been sort of turning, as much as I bitch about the front office, by the end of last summer, I had sort of turned, I was like, okay, well, maybe it'll be fine because everybody wants to believe things are fine. And instead, they've been mediocre and Luka's been incandescent. And this is kind of what was in the tea leaves back as soon as Jalen Brunson left. So, this was always going to be a difficult season, I think. And the fact is that it earnestly could have gone worse with how some of these things have gone, particularly, they're 19 and 13 in clutch games. So they played 32 clutch games, and they're well above 500 in those games, which is hard to do. I don't know. I'm feeling okay at the moment.
I think that being a Mavs fan, sometimes I have to, just make assumption that a lot of us just kind of hope for something that's not there, kind of,
sure.
But and one more thing, somebody had brought up, kind of the woes of where how Dallas got to where they are right now. I think it was one of your previous podcasts about it being the Chris Paul and, the Chris Paul trade. I would have to say, to me, it was the whole idea of going after Williams from the Nets back whenever Cuban was just pretty much trying to push for him. It seemed like he blew up the team, and his mindset was just go after Williams, go after Williams, go after Williams. And he gave up a lot of asset and just avoided a lot of opportunities to go after Williams. And I feel like that was pretty much the decline and kind of how, why Dallas is so stagnant now, because even in his older age, Cuban still kind of wanted the guy. And it was just, cognitive dissonance to where this dude was just going after something that wasn't there for ego purposes or whatever. But, I feel like the Chris Paul thing was significant, but his lust for Williams was just it broke up, to me, that franchise in a bad.
Well, and then he didn't go to the meeting. Well, thank you for joining us, Brandon. Appreciate you. All right. Let's see here. Who else we got that's waiting? We do have to have some Josh Green love. Josh Bowe and I led our show with that because Josh Green helped win the game. So I'm going to go to Chris Haley, who I know will give us some Josh Green love.
Yeah, we're over here on Josh Green Island. Yeah, he's making that, at least made that three, that kind of
big three.
I wouldn't say sealed the deal because
I think it did. I really do. I think he misses that three. The momentum that there was enough time then when he hit that three. That was a big shot.
Yeah, and Spencer would have missed those free throws too. I mean, I was thinking he might have missed one of those free throws. What annoys me about this team, I know Luka wasn't on the floor, but whenever we're up a lot, they're like, okay, we can just fuck around now and just shoot threes. Spencer did what he can get to the basket.
Sure.
We've seen him do this.
But 12 free throws tonight.
And I honestly feel like going back to last season when Tim Hardaway Jr. was out, I really don't feel like we would have made it to the Western Conference Finals with him being healthy, because there's all those possessions that he would have just impulsively taken those threes. And I know sometimes he can catch fire, but damn, it's just the impulsive 3-point shooting drives me nuts with him. It seems like he can't get to the basket, Tim Hardaway, so he just chunks up threes. I don't know, man. They should have Hardaway, Josh Green, keep doing what he's doing and just get to the basket attack. I mean, especially when you're trying to hold on to a lead. It's frustrating. Another thing is frustrating with how many offensive rebounds Valanciunas was getting. And now Powell's in the game, but it just sucks that we can't play McGee.
That dude's
at all.
a monster, though. That's just, you sort of see that when Valanciunas is in. I somehow Dwight had the best plus minus. Not somehow. What Dwight adds is I do get why that bothers you, but that just you sort of seed offensive rebounds when you play the Pelicans based on team construction.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
If there was one player you would think that needs to wear a mask, I don't know how Pal's face is not like black eyes.
Skin picked up on it about 15 games ago, Jeff Skin Wade, and now he just points out every time he gets hit in the face. And we all noticed it, but it's great. It's hilarious to hear the TV broadcast do it.
I mean, he should be looking like a hockey player, you know.
Yeah, he actually looks pretty good for how much he gets hit in the face.
Yeah, I know. It just other guys on the bench like McKinley Wright, Pinson, Ntilikina. It just sucks that we just really can't have anybody else get injured. And I think Luka might have missed Saturday's game. It's going to be a tough game either way. I think it is a national TV game. I don't know.
Well, the injury heel stuff. Jeff Stotts, the guy who does injury stuff for basketball and a lot of sports, says that the average missed time for a heel contusion is 1 to 2 games.
Okay. I'm just coming off what they call it heel bursitis.
Yeah, and it makes me want, like, he went back in. He just, meaning Luka, he maybe could have played, but they were up 30. So maybe he was just like, look, I'm going to go get treatment. We'll see, we'll live to fight. Yeah.
I would say just sit him because you don't want to risk that injury. It's going to be a tough game either way. I don't know. We beat the Warriors are different than Phoenix. I think it's going to be a tough game.
The Warriors kill at home. They are 19-6.
Yeah,
at home.
That's what I'm saying. And it is a national TV game, but I say screw it. Just sit them, and because we got another tough 4-game stretch there. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we just got to hang on. Just beat the teams that we're supposed to beat, and it's going to be a tough road trip.
Well, this was a tough coaching game, and I mean, we kind of lay off Kidd for a lot of this. But the fact that the offense went to absolute shit in that final 6 minutes, and Spencer was dribbling down and taking, like, I'm exhausted at the end of a 4-game pickup run, I'm just going to heave this shot type shots. I understand we don't run a lot of set plays, but if Green was they weren't really prepared for Green's attack. Could we do some more Josh Green stuff? Just maybe one more thing. I don't know that when Spencer got blocked on that 3, and that was when I was just like, oh my God.
But you know what? For some reason, all the crappy, stupid losses we've had, I really believe that we're going to win no matter what. It was just funny when the Pelicans were catching them. Like, of course, we're only up by 3 now.
The gambling line was 5 points. Then they're up by 30. Yeah. They're up by 31, and they win. The Mavericks are the worst team in the league against the spread.
Oh, and I have one thing. This is a side thing. This is going – I'm sorry, but I'm going to get off on Brunson real quick. I was reading an article about the 3 whiffs the Mavs had. So the one that was the biggest one was, why did the Mavs not offer him the traditional contract where the fourth or 5th year is
I know the answer to this. His agent asked Donnie Nelson not to, and Donnie said okay. And the reason that sort of stuff happens – is
so when he was a rookie?
Yes. And you assume the reason you do that sort of thing as a team is you do it as a favor to an agent, assuming down the road you can call in that favor. Because they were preparing to offer, they wanted to make a run at Giannis Antetokounmpo, which would have met as much salary cap space as possible. So it was a clear mistake, but this is why they also locked in Jaden Hardy and used part of the many because most second round deals are 2-year deals. This is why Bones Highland up in Denver is potentially available, because the Nuggets books are a bit of they've spent a lot of money on the team that they have. That's why he's available. So it's like us locking these guys up for 4 years. As much as I'm not really I'm kind of a mid on Hardy, what the Mavericks did to lock him up for that long is actually really good business.
Yeah, well, watching all these Knicks games that I do, oh my God, I miss Brunson, man. I really feel like we would be a better team. We would possibly get to the finals this year with him on the team, having 3 playmakers. It's just nuts. And lastly, this is not a basketball thing. The Last of Us. I already know you like the show. playing the remastered version or the re-release remake, whatever, The Last of Us 1 on PS5. It's really cool.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
No, that's
exactly.
That's a good recommendation for everyone here.
Yeah, about 90% through the game in the last day.
That's awesome. Well, with our where do you live again? I can't remember.
In San Angelo, it's West Texas.
Are you guys under any sort of snow chicanery or no?
Oh, we were until like tomorrow. Kids go back to school, but yeah, the last 3 days the school's been out. So I'm
they called off school here tomorrow, and I am going if there were a place I could storm, I would do it. Like there is nothing on the ground here now. It rain, and they're like, well, it might freeze between 3 and 6 a.m. and it's like, okay, but
yeah, they don't want to go.
Well,
back to work.
no, part of me I understand being safe. I'm just like. I very much feel like the Dallas area, after the third straight year of an ice storm, is like that Simpsons gif where it's like, we're all out of ideas and we've tried nothing.
Just shut it down. Shut it down.
I don't want to. I could go off on a tangent about this for hours just because it's like, I love how much my son does not care that I have to work. Like, does not care.
All right, man. I hope you get some rest.
Yep. All right, coming up next, let's go to Jack. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Kirk. I got some hot Tim Hardaway Jr. takes here.
Are they going to be that hot? Because Tim is ice cold.
That's true. That's true. So there's got 4 players: JaVale McGee, Dwight Powell, Jaden Hardy, and Frank Ntilikina. Do you know what they have in common when it comes to Tim Hardaway Jr.?
I don't. Tell me.
They're the only 4 players that he has a better 3-point percentage than. And here's another one. Theo Pinson is the only player that he has a better 2-point percentage than on the entire roster. And Theo's shot 10 shots this year that are from 2. That's all I got to say. I'll step down.
Man, I'm sorry to make you wait. I love that. Thanks for coming up, Jack. Jack's like, I'm going to be efficient with my time. Krishna, when I bring you up later, think about that. I'm just kidding you, Krishna. I'm teasing everybody who's in here. This is why we do these, to get all of our thoughts out. All right, my man Nav, what's going on? It's been a while. Welcome back.
Hey.
Give him a second to find. How are you doing?
You hear me?
I can. Welcome.
Hey, so tonight actually was first game. I took my son his first
wow.
game. So it was pretty good until Luka got hurt.
Well, there's nothing like experiencing sports agony with your kin.
Yeah, he was more upset that he didn't get to see Champ. I don't know when they bring him out, but we stayed till like 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, and he still hadn't come out. So
yeah.
So one thing, I just had one quick thing. How much of the Mavs struggles without Luka do you think are due to the lack of talent on the roster? And how much do you think it is due to a lack of a decent offensive scheme?
This is a good question. If they had one more guy who I thought could reliably dribble, I would say it's more scheme. But when Luka's out, they rely so much on Spencer being really, really good. And I don't think that kind of pressure is fair for Spencer. So I really have to put it more on talent than I do scheme. That's where I fall. But it's pretty close. I think a fair argument could be made for either one.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. I think like last game, Jaden Hardy, he didn't play really well, but I felt like part of the problem was they just threw him the ball and were like, hey, go make something happen.
Yeah.
And then, right. And he just like was trying to get to the rim and got blocked. And then it was like, yeah, I know he's not playing great, but like no one's doing anything. And they're just throwing him the ball to ISO.
He gets 2 chances a game, I think. He had 25 points against the Portland. And then you go look at his box score, and he basically gets 2 shots. And if he doesn't make them both, he gets yanked. Kid has talked for a lot about putting him in situations where he can thrive. And I still think there's a method to his madness where they don't want him out there picking up bad habits and failing. And as much as I understand people wanting to see more of him, His shot is not there. Then the scheme stuff that they run, it's like, okay, well, he's going to either beat somebody off the dribble, but lately he's been met at the rim and sent packing, and like that's just not great for a young player.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just frustrating it's hard as a fan watching because I feel like obviously, you've mentioned it too, like the roster is a really big problem, but I just get frustrated because I don't think we're using the current talent we have to its best possible potential I think the coaching has not been very good. I think we haven't been even playing our best players. Like the whole Christian Wood situation, like I can understand if you don't think he's a winning basketball player. I can understand if you don't think he should be on a championship team. I understand all of those arguments. The problem is the Mavs do not have the luxury to be treating him like that. Given how bad the other players are, he's the second best player. And like whether you like it or not, and my frustration has been that they're not treating him like that. So he's not getting the minutes. They're like everybody in the entire NBA universe knows that. So if you try and trade him, you're not going to get much in return. Like it's just the whole management of the roster is just so frustrating where it's like, I get it. Our players aren't that great, but like the ones that are okay, like maybe try and pump them up a little bit instead of dragging them down.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have.
Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you coming up. All right. Let's go to Jacob. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, Kurt.
Welcome.
All right, so my takeaway from this game is that what more evidence does Luka's MVP campaign need? Because without him, this team can barely nurse a 25-point lead without him.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge there is I think that with some of the other guys that are ahead of him in the race are so freaking good this year. I think that'll end up kind of writing off that argument. But it is why he'll make his fourth straight All-NBA first team if he manages to play enough games. Because that's where, you get past the top two or three guys and they tend to, Luka's good. Luka will be first team or second team All-NBA. And like, there's when you get on that high a level, the distinctions start to actually matter, even if a guy's outstanding. But I understand, I don't know if anybody saw that hilarious JJ Redick clip of like the thing he and Jason Gallagher are doing for their show, where it's like he was basically reading like fake tweets for how teams represented what they thought their, like Luka is MVP or Giannis is MVP or that sort of thing, and like all like the things he had to say that in the voice of Mavs fans were like the team is garbage without Luka, which like isn't fair, but if they would have lost that tonight, the whole thing would have been like, okay, this, they cannot do anything without Luka. Granted, they still haven't won a game without him, but at least they held on to hold this to this one. But I understand why you feel that way, man. I really, really do.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Pistons game too. It's like, even with him going nuclear, it's like, is nobody else this reliable and just, halfway consistent?
Well, it's why it's why I'm trying to be better about this, but it's like why I get so frustrated when players that are not Luka do kind of like basic basketball shit and everyone gets really excited. That's not fair to those players. I shouldn't react that way, but it's just like, guys, we should be demanding a little bit higher standards.
Sure. I mean, I guess that's part of the reason I get so pumped up about Josh Green, and as a resident of Josh Green.
At least he's young though. Like what,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, by no means he's not a finished product. That's why he's there's still room for him to grow. And like his shooting percentages, nice. Like even tonight, his ability to get to the rim and like my thing that I've been nitpicking about Josh, I've said it to you, is that I think he's too selective with his shots, and I think he just straight up got tired of Tim and Spencer tonight. isoing and then breaking, that he took that contested three and he buried it.
Yeah. I want him
Like that.
to do – his percentages are going to go down if he starts with more volume. That's just how it works. I like when he takes these threes because his shot, if we're going to get like really in the weeds, Green's shot, he's been drifting a lot on the shot from distance where he'll like float to one side or the other. That was a great pure form up and down shot with somebody in his business. And he needs to take more of those shots, just like Dorian needed to back in the day. You just got to get looks and get comfortable with it. And that was a good looking shot. I was really glad he took that instead of just continuing to move it along the perimeter.
Yeah, it fired me up for him almost as much as it did
I think that shot won the game. As much like he made a layup after that, but that shot is much held off as anything. He misses that shot. The Mavericks are only up 5 at that point, and I think the Pelicans might have gone down and scored. Like it was uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, they had almost every bit of momentum, and he kind of put it into that with. I think that's definitely a confidence builder, and he may or may not be dependent on that, like Maxey in a way. But
did you see that Maxey is practicing?
I did, man.
What the fuck?
Hamstring injuries hurt like a bitch, man.
Yeah, like Dalton Trigg was telling me he pulled his in high school, and it just has never been the same ever. It's like, what do you do if you tear one?
Yeah, it's kind of like Tyron Smith. I know you're not a Cowboys fan,
that's like a guy just never fully recovers from something like that.
Yeah, no, you got to be like a $6 million man to come back from that. I'm sorry, like just even thinking about it sounds painful. Like hamstring.
I don't know what. Like, I'm going to be so baffled. Like the expectation for him, I'm going to need someone to sit me down and be like, him not dying is our level of expectations. Like I need to know.
Yeah. I guess he got a new girlfriend or something.
It's a good joke, and we'll never go old.
So, yeah, but I guess if I got to say something about I don't know about Black Sheep, but Tim, come on, man,
brutal,
like so brutal. Like I can appreciate. I say this all the time. I can appreciate a guy that plays, with a fire underneath his ass, just high effort. I can appreciate that, and he's a good dude. But man, you may need to start learning Chinese soon.
Yeah, somebody will pick him up. I really feel that way.
I honestly, that's my number one wish for the deadline is get off of his contract.
Love it. All right, man. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, guys, I follow some of these sneaker accounts online. Couple of thoughts, just completely unrelated to anything to this game. Number one, Luka 1s are just a fantastic looking shoe. I want the hookup. So anybody out there can help me out? Got big ass feet. I'm a size 14. I'm only 6'2". I should have been taller. It's bullshit. Man, I just love Luka's shoes. Then John Morant had some new releases of shoes today, and they're kind of like they're mid tops, I guess, and they're just heinous in the best ways possible. So many bright colorways. I cannot wait to never buy and wear them just because I'm an old man now, but I wish I could. Anyway, I was clicking around on Nike.com during this, so I really wanted to just to get out my shoe thoughts that no one wants to hear, because who cares about my 38-year-old ass's opinions on shoes. Krishna, what is happening?
Kirk, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh God, I don't know where to begin with this game.
Talk to me. Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, I felt good. I was like, okay, yeah, this should be the lead, right? You should be leading against a team that had to fly in this morning and drive in from OKC. You should be leading, especially they were on a 9-game losing streak, and then obviously the Luka stuff in the third quarter, and I saw some things about Luka should learn how to land better. I'm like, sure, but
no, the fact that he didn't tear his Achilles is what's freaking impressive. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what these people are saying. In the heat of the moment, that's going to happen. That's just instinctually what happens. they're not stuntmen. Like stuntmen practice falling safely because that is actually their job, but that's not Luka's job. Like you don't expect to go up and then get blocked like that and then that to happen. So that was like so weird for me. But oh god, I just expected it. I just knew it. I was like, this lead is going to disappear.
I didn't think it'd get that close.
I did. I honestly thought they were going to lose because I know a lot of people, like if you look at the Pelicans record and you look at their losing streak, you'll be like, oh, are the Pelicans that good? But Brandon Ingram is better than anyone else on this team, like by far and away. And so is CJ McCollum. Like for me, it was that simple. Those guys are far better. Like those guys are closer to all-star talent than anyone else on this team. And that was what was so concerning to me. Now, I was very happy. My Josh Green stock with me sitting in my mansion on Josh Green Island is very, very, very nice. But it says a lot about this team, right? Like we've talked about it, that when Josh Green, who I like him a lot, but when Josh Green, who's a pretty good athlete, he's not a standout athlete, is the guy that
he's the best athlete on the Mavericks. That's not, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. JaVale's a pretty freak guy, but for the guys that play regularly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of says a lot just about how poorly the roster has been constructed. And it's not to bash Josh, and it's not even to bash these players. Like, I've kind of been talking with other Mavs fans, and my point this whole time is just, yeah, these players have not been good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and defend Tim, who shot like 15% at one point in this game, or like Spence, who was actually horrendous. Like, both of them were really bad today. I mean, the fact that Josh made as many shots as both of them combined and shot 17 less times, that's an indictment.
Pretty amazing.
That's an indictment on both of them. But this is like failure from every single level. You know, this is long-term failures from ownership's lack of understanding on the reality of this franchise, that, you know, it's not like a pull. Like, playing for the Mavericks is not a pull. For as much as like we all love the Mavericks, like no kid, like no basketball player grows up really dreaming of playing for the Mavericks. I mean, in its 20 plus year history of playing for the Mavericks.
I remember how much it didn't occur to me till much later in life, when I remember Chris Bosh being like, I grew up a Spurs fan, and like Chris Bosh and I were the same age. I played against him in high school, and I remember being so angry at that concept. But really, the Mavericks weren't really amazing until we were already in high school, till it was like my sophomore year. And so at that point, if you'd been a Spurs fan for a real long time, there's some reasons behind that. Like Tim Duncan was, you know, immediately incredible. But yeah, it's never, you know, for as many incredible players that have come through the Dallas area, Dallas Mavericks have never been a team that people are like, oh, I want to play for them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that credit, like I like Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman, obviously really great players, but like it's not an all-time franchise. And like literally the most recent player that we've all known is like the only player I've ever seen that actually wants to come to Dallas. Obviously Turner re-signed signed the extension with the Pacers. Like, it's just not a destination. And yeah, obviously for so many years, Cuban has acted like, oh, you know, people want to come here, they want to play here, and it's this delusion that's kind of been it's been pushed also by the front office. Like, that's my issue with it, and the front office is also part of it. And then the same with the coaching. Like, I think a lot of us got frustrated by the staleness of Rick, but in some ways Rick kind of protected. Yeah, I think Rick also protected ownership, but he still kept a lot of these things that are so frustrating now at bay. Like, Tim has been so frustrating.
Lost you at the end.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying Rick kind of protected so much of this ownership, but he also kind of protected these players from being their worst selves that we're seeing right now. Like, I have talked about it before, but Tim is a good player, but he's only a good player when you don't let him do certain things. And, you know, we can talk at times like, oh, why are players doing certain things? But a lot of these guys are not meant to be playing the roles they're meant to be playing. Like, they should not, like, Spencer should not be relied upon as your second best guy on a team.
Yeah, it's not fair to him night in and out.
Yeah, it's not fair to them at all. And and it's not to say that no one can criticize these two guys. Like it's not to say that no one should criticize them. The unfortunate thing is they're put in that position, and then when they don't perform, it causes the team to lose. And it's why it's been so tough. And the team has already gotten to this point where it's to like everyone's saying like, oh, tank, but it's like, have you seen the teams at the bottom half of this league? Like those teams that might not even get to 30 wins at some point. Like you're not going to reach that level. And then the other issue is who is going to take the players you have? You don't really have the picks to give away to do that. It's just kind of a dire situation overall. And it sucks because I really love Luka. I like a lot of these guys on this team. You know, I like Josh Green a lot. I like Jaden Hardy. I even like Spence. Like he's produced great moments for this team, even in a short time here. But it's so unfair to ask all of these guys to perform at a high level. And I think it's disappointing that it's that way because, you know, just 1-2 decisions from this front office and this ownership, even just this past offseason or, you know, seasons before, could have completely changed the trajectory and the momentum. And, you know, you've talked about it the whole season, that this is a take your medicine year. And unfortunately, this medicine isn't cough syrup. It's like you're sitting in your hospital bed taking an IV drip and you're on a ventilator. Like that's what it feels like at points because of how brutal it is to watch an MVP level player struggle to carry a team. And, you know, I don't know where this goes, like I've been saying all season, you know, because the thing that's so crazy is I did not realize the Mavericks were 5th in the West this morning. That's how crazy the entire NBA has been, much less the Western Conference, that for as horrific as the Mavs have been, the Mavs are 5th, and it's kind of just perplexing.
Yeah, well, so is everybody, and that's where it's just this road trip that they're coming up upon. The Mavericks don't play well on the road. They are 9-16. They're playing the Warriors, who are unbelievable at home. Then they're playing the Jazz, who are pretty darn good at home. And then they're playing the Clippers, who are pretty darn good at home. Clippers are okay. But the Clippers are apparently the scheduling gods bless them. They play they have like no back-to-backs. And so it just means Kawhi stands a much better chance of playing.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, I feel like it's a reverse of last year. Like last year, I felt like this Mavs team was okay at home, but they were way better on the road, which was, I think, completely shocking. And it's been tough. And like, you know, I know a few callers have talked about Hardy. For me, my opinion on Hardy is like the guy is a prospect. He is a 2nd-round pick prospect that was never going to, in my eyes, contribute on a significant level or be a significant contributor. And part of that is just he needs to improve his build and improve his decision making. And this is a lot of the stuff we see now is a lot of the stuff that happened in the G League last season, where he just had to acclimate to the level that he's at. And, you know, going from, you know, he misses a year of high school, going to the G League, like we can say whatever we want about the G League. It's a complete step up from high school, especially a year off of high school basketball. And then going from the G League to NBA, even in a few minutes, is a complete step up. I think for me, the positive things are he has shown some ability, but I do think it's been really clear to me that there's just a lack of coaching that has helped him ease into this already difficult time. And it's just a lack of him being able to adjust. And I don't think it means that I don't think I can sit here and say Hardy is never going to do anything in the NBA, but I also can't sit here and say Hardy is going to be some kind of like definitive
that's fine.
Piece for this team. And I think that's fine. Like the guy's 20, he's really young. I think it just sucks that there's so much spotlight on Hardy. One, because of just how the prominence he has on this team, just because there's not a lot of young talent, but two, also just kind of how bad this team is. And it's sad. Like, you know, Hardy even Hardy on a different team. Like if Hardy is on, I don't know, like Hardy's on the Jazz, it wouldn't be a big of a deal that he's, you know, not doing as much. But it's tough. It's interesting to see. We'll see how Luka does. I mean, that was super worrying. I mean, it was so funny because the arena was so empty, you could hear Luka scream, and I was just like, who just cursed so loud? and I thought it was funny for a second, but I don't know. Hopefully,
I hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay. I mean, it looked rough, man. The heels are worse than I think your ankles at some point.
So you want to? What percentage of Jaden Hardy's shots do you think have been blocked this year?
I would go almost to like 90%.
No, shush, not that. Come on.
I think it's pretty high. I mean, like he drives to the rim.
It's 16%. So.
Oh, yeah. Really? I don't know. Maybe I'm over. But I think the thing is that's so funny.
I'm talking all shots, like all field goals.
Oh, okay.
Not shots at the rim.
He does take a lot of threes. So. Yeah. But it's so funny because earlier this month, I think it was Grant Afseth was tweeting, Hardy, I think had attempted the 5th most drives on this team. Like
that the dribbling part, that plays into it.
Yeah, the part of it is just he's one of the few players that can dribble for himself. And I'm worried, just like I hope he doesn't start becoming this player that becomes super timid. I hope he still has his confidence. I think that's one thing I do appreciate about him is, it's not an easy situation. Like he dropped in the draft, and easily you could go into your shell and let that eat you. But I don't know. It'll be tough for him. I don't know what his future is here on this team in the league, but.
To give you a totally unfair comp, guys, just while I'm doing the math, Luka's had 3% of his shots at the rim blocked. Hardy will need to get it under 10%. That's for a guy his size and his attack level, you're going to get blocked.
Absolutely. And I think that's to me it's not been so much that what I think is better for me and I like seeing from Hardy is that he's just not afraid to do it still, even from getting blocked. I think he's just kind of that player, like he's frustrating in a different way where he's not going to instantaneously learn, right? Like the thing that is so amazing about Luka and all these other top level players is they make a mistake, but then they kind of just learn from it. And Hardy is a smart guy, but he's not that. He's going to take this season and maybe even next season and another to learn and really improve his game. I mean, like Kyle Lowry in his first few, it's not a comparable thing, but Kyle Lowry in his first few years in the league
he was real rough.
People would not have considered him anywhere as a starter or even a significant contributor on a championship level team. And I'm not saying Hardy is that or will ever be that, but I'm saying it's really hard to project prospects that far into the future, much less, the next game or even a while. But we'll see. I think it's just tough. It's just this is the slog, Kirk. But hopefully everyone stays safe and has a good night.
All right, man. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks, sir.
Let me see here. I went and just did this because I remember bitching about the same Josh Green block stat. Josh Green was blocked 8.6% of the time his rookie year. So Hardy's going to have to get that worked on. That's not something to be like panicky about, guys. I'm not being an ass about it, but 16% of your shots blocked is a lot. Brian says the Mavericks are the 4th seed. No, we're still the 5th. They're Did somebody lose tonight? Can I not do math? I was just looking at the standings before we got in this because I was going back and forth. Clips are still above the Mavericks by a half game, at least according to ESPN, unless they're playing tonight. I'm not paying any attention. All right, coming up next, let's go to Ruben. What's up, buddy?
I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay.
But no, man, Josh Green, what? I'm just saying THJ and Spence didn't hit a shot from the floor in the 4th. If I saw that stat line on the
they only scored 16
correctly.
as a team.
So, like most of those were Josh Green points.
He scored 7. Like. He scored 7 in the final 6 minutes. He didn't really he got one. I don't think he got a look. Like that was kind of the gripe where it's just like, guys, can we do something? Can we run some offense? Can we do anything? And it was just a bunch of clang, clang, clang.
Yeah, Spence thought he was Kobe tonight. I'm not sure what he was thinking. And it felt like, vet, let me take the game over. I might have to do something, But, bro, you got like a up-and-coming guy on your team. Give him the ball. He usually makes the right play when he can. But I just love what I saw out of Josh Green. Hardy, I would take Hardy minutes over THJ minutes any time of the day. I would rather see him fail than THJ fail at this point of his career. I think I said that in the chat.
Well, I mean, maybe after the All-Star break that'll happen. Like not All-Star break, after trade deadline.
Yeah, it should happen. And I kind of brought this question to the spaces tonight. So I feel like Dwight Powell is Luka's favorite tool to use just because, I mean, he's been here since his rookie year. He knows everywhere Luka wants to go, how he wants the ball, da-da-da-da. So would you cash out, give up all your picks for – and just looking at the landscape of the NBA today, there's not really that many star centers.
Nope.
Star big man. I think that's gone away of
it is the least valuable of the three position groups, in my opinion. I mean, the two best centers in the league are Giannis and Jokic, and everyone else is such a distant third.
Right. So it's like I keep hearing people screaming for Miles Turner, and that's about it. That's really all you can name. Gobert. It's not
Did
looking
I say
too
Embiid,
good.
Luke? I'm sorry. I meant Luka. I meant Embiid and
yeah.
I'm sorry. Embiid and what's wrong? I'm just tired, guys. I'm sorry.
They're kind of like point centers too.
Embiid and Jokic are the two best centers, and everybody else is not.
Yeah. So my question was would you cash out and spend all your picks for a star center, or would you cash out and spend all your picks for a star ball handler?
I mean, I wouldn't cash out on my picks and do shit. I would just go get better players by hook or by crook. I don't want this second star thing is going to turn me into a lunatic. Just go get better players. Why do you want to take the ball out of Luka's hands if he demands it? But Brunson, when Luka wasn't on the floor, Brunson had a usage rate that was in the 30s. It's like there's enough ball to go around for somebody else. You go find it, but it's just let's go get better players. The star thing doesn't work. It's driving me nuts. Every time I hear it, I feel a little crazier.
Right. And I think I've come to the conclusion, and in just my opinion or whatever. Yeah, go get a good ball like DeMar DeRozan. There's some other names I can name, but he just comes to mind. Even though he is not a knockdown 3-point shooter, he can create his own shot. I'm like to the point where just Google and search who has the best ISO game, the most minutes and best ISO scoring. That's all Luka needs. I love Spencer. Get him back on the bench. Give him that role again. He was great in that role. He's great in Brunson's role, actually, just by stats wise. But give him that so he doesn't have, when Luka goes out, he doesn't feel like he has to do everything by himself. And then go get a flyer on the center that you think may be manageable. Because there are no centers in this league. Just get a big guy or a young big guy with Dwight Powell energy. That's what I look at, because all Dwight Powell is doing is going off what Luka wants. He sets the screens that Luka wants and likes, and he can finish. But it feels like Dwight Powell is scared to dunk sometime. I'm like, bro, just reach up and you're not finesse. You're not a finesse player. Stop it. But give him like a young guy, like a Wiseman or a Mike Williams or Mo Bamba or something, and just see. But I would say, I don't want to cash out, but I want to re-sign. I want to the guy before me, a couple guys before me had a good, thought. Us as Mavs fans and maybe the team feel like, Christian Wood isn't good enough for us. I'm like, bro, what are y'all smoking?
He's not.
Like, he's a piece. I'm not saying he's a star. We don't have
You're right.
We don't have pieces.
We don't have pieces. But I'll tell you what's gone wrong. And I don't know this for a fact, but I do feel pretty strongly about this. The way the negotiations have gone, I think we'll find out down the road, have been very poor.
Mm.
And that is very frustrating to hear as fans, because we're like, we don't care. Go sign the guy.
Right.
If he's with the Mavericks past the All-Star break, I actually think he will re-sign with the Mavericks. All sorts of, I've had this debate in this chat for 2 weeks now with people popping in here where it's like, oh, he's going to go get 5 for 125. And I'm like, from who? He's pissed off 8 teams in the league. I saw ESPN commentator Om Young Masuk said that the Mavericks should trade Wood back to the Pistons to go get Bogdanovich. And it's like the Pistons want nothing to do with him. He played there. There's only so many bridges you can burn. And even though I think Wood has grown up and has been a good soldier for this Mavericks team, that's baggage follows you. I'm an asshole once about Jalen Brunson in 2021. And to this day, people are still like, you hated Jalen Brunson.
I mean, I hate Jalen Brunson now. I'm like, bro, what? I'm just, every time I hear his name, realistically, after that playoff series, he had a good, whatever. Say he did resign. We would be looking at Jalen Brunson as an asset to trade for another star.
Maybe.
Don't lie.
But everybody should be. Everybody should be considered an asset.
And where we fucked up is, Donnie give him that, I don't know, a weird contract when he was drafted. I don't know how many players get that type of contract. But we fucked up there. But why would I want to re-sign with a team that is going to use me as a trade asset? The media lets me know. The fans let me know. The office has let me know. I'm just a piece to get another piece.
I can't believe he wasn't voted in as an all-star. That just shows that ESPN assistant coaches in the NBA should probably not be in charge of voting. Brunson is so clearly their best player, and they voted in Julius Randle, who is – Knicks players want him. Knicks fans were like, "Can we move him now, please?"
Jalen Brunson is not an all-star yet. He wouldn't be an all-star on this team. Good luck to him.
He might be if we were a top 3 seed. That dude.
Let that man go. He would be a trade piece. We wouldn't even know him after the trade deadline.
We would be a top 3 team in the West if he was on this team.
We would trade him for Zach LaVine right now today.
I mean, maybe they're still going to try to trade for Zach LaVine.
Exactly, Kurt. That's why
Brunson is currently I think he's a hell of a player. I never really thought Brunson. And watch the one thing that I will cap to, and I think all of us should, is none of us thought that Brunson was a max player, but he is clearly a max player in hindsight.
Well, when you're the only player on your team, you're going to look like a max player. But mark my words today, they will trade him as soon as Donovan Mitchell has had enough or another all-star point guard has had enough. He will be another trade asset. I love him to death, but I still hate him now that
the Cavs are
fuck him.
The Cavs are better than the Knicks, so it's
yeah. And watch it. And as soon as something like Garland or some shit happens on the Cavs,
so good. The Cavs are going to be so good. They have a little trade deadline issue right now because they're all trying. All these teams that have tradable guys, everybody's skittish, so people start worrying and playing goofy. So.
And did the Clips lose tonight? They were down 1 point.
Giannis had 54.
Woo!
Yeah. Giannis is. I feel good about my MVP bet. I did not place any MVP bets on Jokic, but I don't know. I don't. Jokic having a better year than he did. I don't know. That's a whole other.
But I would say wins like this, I'll take any type of win because just look at from 3 to 4. We're all bunched in. I'll take a win no matter what it looks like. Good win for the Mavs. Josh Green is that guy. I'm calling him Klay Thompson 2.0.
You got to get him to shoot. You got to get him to shoot more than 6.
Yeah, that's all we waiting on. Get THJ out of here.
Shots.
Yeah, get THJ out of here, flanking anything up. He's taking shots out of my guys' hands, but we gonna go far if we can get these guys. Just mix it up a little bit. What you were saying, just get some new blood in here, and don't shoot for the stars for a center. Try to get a great, a good ball handler to move Spence back to the bench, and I think we can go far. Have a good night, Kurt.
Thanks, guys. All right. Yeah, there were some goofy all-star selections. I really think they need to expand the rosters to the same as the rosters because they only have 12 guys per team. Well, they should have 15 guys because NBA rosters have 15 guys. Javier points out that Triple J made it down there, and I'm looking at the standings, guys. Why are you guys telling me the Mavericks are fourth? I keep refreshing. There we go. Okay. So they're tied with the Clippers at 8.5 games. I don't know why I wonder how we have the lead on them. The win percentage for the Mavericks is 52.8%. The Clippers is 52.7%. That's hilarious. Yeah, the All-Star stuff was just, it's really, I don't understand some of it. Like the Kings are the third team in the West, and they have one guy, and they really should have had two. The Memphis Grizzlies getting two, I guess, because they're second, and teams feel obligated to do that. But Triple J, yeah, I don't think he should be an All-Star. It's that I don't Anthony Edwards wasn't selected as an All-Star and has played twice the minutes as Triple J. There's just some funky stuff going on there. I don't know. I'm glad Luka obviously made All-Star team. Apparently, the coaches for the Sacramento Kings made a big push for their players because it's assistant coaches and stuff that vote on this sort of stuff. So I made the joke of what did the Mavericks do to get Christian Wood in as an All-Star guy? And I saw somebody say that I hate Christian Wood. I don't hate Christian Wood. I hate that Christian Wood needs to be better than he is for the Mavericks. Like, I just, go look at his box scores and find me a game where he played really well against a good big. Just, you won't find one. He does really well against, it's like, oh, he had a great game against the Lakers, and the Lakers had no one. Like, I don't know. And then the final thing, she points out, obviously, that they do not pass the ball to Josh Green, which is undeniably true. Unbelievably annoying how many times that they just kind of dribble stuff and they don't really get it to him. All right. Fun times. The Mavericks won. We should enjoy the fact that they are the fourth seed because the road schedule coming up is brutal. 5 straight on the road for a Mavericks team that wins 2 out of every 5 on the road. At least that's what they've done this year. Everybody be good. Check out Mavs Moneyball to see if anybody's written anything worth a damn. You'd think I'd know, but I've been sick the past few days, so who knows. Peter wants me to play basketball next Wednesday. Man, my wife is so sick of my shit, Peter. I can't play with you guys. All right, we'll talk soon. Be good.